Welcome, dirty peasants, to Wartwood Gazette, the Amphibia podcast. This is episode 50, and we are covering Amphibia Season 3, Episode 12, Sasha's Angels and Olmtown Road. I'm your host, the Baticon, and joining me today we have Lemur,
Hello!
Impact,
Yo, what's good, everybody?
Pickle,
Hey.
and Nick.
What's up, y'all?
Thanks, guys, for coming on. This week, did we have any Amphibia news? I'm trying to remember. It was a bunch of I know after Commander Ann and after episode 11 aired, the crew released like a bunch of sketches and designs for Sasha's new design, and a couple of other things too, and that was cool.
Yeah.
And we also got a little bit of we get concept art every week. I just thought the Olmtown Road concept art was pretty good, and we'll get into that as we talk about the episode. But with that, I think we can start talking about the episode itself, which first segment was Sasha's Angels, directed by Jen Strickland, written by Geneva Mai, storyboards by Alicia Rocha and Danny Ducker. So this episode was mostly about the Wartwood townsfolk that have been working with Sasha in the resistance to fight Andrea. So this episode's mostly about like Loggle, Wally, Croaker, Toady, and Maddie going up against a bunch of marauders, and it was a really fun A plot. And I like how Toady got the focus, and I like how they were still able to sprinkle a little bit of interactions between Anne and Sasha and what they had to work on, and it was a nice little add-on to the episode. But overall, it was a lot of fun seeing the townsfolk in action, some surprise cameos from season 1. That was a blast. And yeah, overall, it was just a really fun episode. I'm really glad we got to see more like rebellion shenanigans and what they have to do to keep themselves supplied. Pickle, what were your thoughts on Sasha's Angels?
I liked it. I liked the spotlight getting put on some of the more minor reoccurring characters. Well, more minor than the main cast, but they're pretty major for reoccurring characters in comparison to some of the other townies. And I like that it was like a Toady episode. I don't know how the general feeling on Toady is, but I find him like a fun little character, and I like when he gets the spotlight because he really hasn't had much. I think this is the only episode where he's been the focus. And I also liked the Anne and Sasha moments we got with them still kind of bartering out their relationship. And the general slapstick of this episode was pretty funny. Oh, also, the return of... Or should I talk about him yet? Is it okay to talk about the Barry
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that was the smart decision, because thinking of someone to make the captain of the Marauders, they thought, what's the most hateable character we could find? Because like Barry's definitely a character you love to hate, so I think he works out well as a villain in this episode.
All right, thank you, Pickle. Impact, what were your thoughts on Sasha's Angels?
So Sasha's Angels is interesting to me. This episode went very differently than how I expected. I was not expecting a Toady episode. It's more of a towny kind of all-together episode, but Toady was our main focus to get to all the townies. So that was really cool. I love that we got 2 plot lines. We got the townie stuff, and then we had like the Anne and Sasha stuff, and all that stuff was great. Both of them were really awesome. Barry, I was laughing my ass off when he was seen as the Marauder leader. I was not expecting that. I swore it was gonna be Bog, and it wasn't. That caught me off guard. So props to the Amphibia crew for that one, for catching me off guard with that. And I think like this episode's just really fun. I really enjoyed this one. It's weird. I'll have more to say once we go in depth with certain scenes and stuff. But this episode was really enjoyable. It was a nice like not end to the obviously we're still doing the resistance and stuff, but it was a nice kind of like we got the idea of how the resistance worked the last time in the other two episodes, but kind of having that we've dealt with the Sasha and stuff. We understand how it works normally. So it was really cool that we got like a towny episode to kind of round that out before we started getting into the lore and junk. So this episode was great.
All right, thank you, Impact. Lemur, what were your thoughts on Sasha's Angels?
I freaking love this episode. Very. It's interesting. Like I said, like what Impact said, Sasha's Angels is very interesting to me as well because it really serves a lot of purposes. One is that this episode serves as like a swan song to like all of the Wartwood townies that we've come to know and love. Like last week we got like Ivy and Stumpy and then Fern, and this week we got once again reoccurring from like last week we got Sasha's Angels, Wally, Loggle, and Mrs. Croker, and Cody and Maddie, who are two characters I did not expect to be very involved in the episode. Like it serves this episode serves as like one last showcase to these townies that we've come to know and love, and like also gives a little bit some character development to Toadie, who again I did not expect to be very majorly involved in this episode. I also thought Toadstool would be involved, but surprisingly is not. Probably is gonna come out later down the line. And then we also got like the Sasha and stuff, which drives home the narrative that Anne probably doesn't trust Sasha enough. And once again, Sasha trying to prove that her her genuine empathy is true. And those two these are two different plot points, but they work so well together. And yeah, like Sasha's Angels is just a really enjoyable and also very, very well written episode too. Like it's the last episode, it's the last fun episode that we're getting before we get to the big storyline development stuff. And it is a very well done episode for that.
All right, thank you, Lemur. Nick, what are your thoughts on Sasha's Angels?
I mean, basically what everyone has already like said here. Just a really, really, really good episode, and just a great way to give us, I guess, for like our last Wartwood episode of the series. So, I mean, yeah, it was just really nice to see them at the top of their game here. I know like Loggle, Croker, Wally, Maddie, Toadie. Like I'll admit, like those last two were surprising to see here, but Dan was like happy about having them here. I think like I mean, I guess you can call these all the major Warwood character up. Like, yeah, all the major Warwood characters, right? I mean, I know like they've all had their time to shine in really great ways in the past, right? So, yeah, it's really awesome to see them work as a team and just kick some ass here. Just all around a really fun episode. Now, I've always been a huge fan of Warwood. I just love like the series giving us a chance to like revisit it, see what's up with it, and just get more time with them. And yeah, that's what this episode gave. Just all around really good one.
All right, thank you, Nick. So I think we can start talking about the episode itself. Like, I've got our good friend Sun's Fury's thought dumps, where he's like written everything we need to know about the episode for me to conveniently read off, and which is great. So the episode starts off with the briefing room. Like once again, this is kind of like a reoccurring a reoccurring thing. Like either the episode starts in Sasha's office or in the briefing room. It's like the hub where they're actually planning out the episode itself. And even though the characters aren't planning out the episode, we kind of, as the audience, can make that observation, which is nice. And I love how like all of the I love how the townies are all like ready to fight, and then it just shows like Toady being a bean. Like he's really shaped like a bean.
Yeah, that was really funny. Like I just love that. Like you just see Wartwood, like they're at the top of their game, they look absolutely badass. Then we transfer over to Jody, who's still stuck in fucking season 2. Like catch up.
He's
I
been
think
babied by Toadstool for way too long.
How
I
old
think
is
the
he?
thing that gets me with like
How old is Tony? Yeah, I don't fucking know. Like it does make his relationship with Toadstool questionable. That's all I'm gonna say. Like,
I'm so confused. Like what
yeah,
they're supposed to be. I think he's an adult, but I think it's kind of like a running gag. People think he's a kid or call him the tadpole. It's hard to
yeah,
tell. I just wish we'd get a number.
yeah.
And
I think like the thing that gets me with the beginning of this episode though, to kind of drift off Toady for a little bit, because to what you were saying with like this has been like a constant thing of like having your mission briefing, we know what's going on in the episode, and then from there we kind of started. It's a really cool like difference in structure for the show. I feel like we never really had this before. Previously in like even like 3A, right? 3A like felt kind of like what we expected out of the show a little bit when starting conflict or starting an episode. You start with what the character wants to do, what's their kind of like emotional journey here, and then what's like physically going to happen to them. Maybe a villain will show up like Cloakbot or Mr. X, which is different from the rest of the show in and of itself too. But then we just changed the structure completely again with 3B, where now we're setting up missions, we're letting you know what's going on, what we're going to be trying to do for this episode, and going from there. Which makes Sasha such a good character to be around now, because now we get to kind of see her actually play strategist and leader. Before, like many times, we were always on the other end of those plans and strategies. We never really got to see like the planning phase or what was going through her head when like she took over Utopia, for example. So it's really cool that we get that perspective here. So Sasha and Grime are so perfect to be like the part of the main cast for this season, and they lead the plot forward too. Mainly Sasha, Grime not too much yet, but I think we're going to see more of him next episode. But yeah, I just think that's so interesting how different 3B already feels from 3A and the rest of the show. Season 3's been changing the structure of the show consistently, so I really like that.
yeah, totally. Thank you, Impact, for your thoughts on Commander Ann. But
Oh.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Wow. But I do agree with what I do agree with what Impact is saying, because like Sasha gives the narrative like a lot more structure, whereas like Anne is just more spontaneous and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And she like
Yeah,
gives the rundown of the plan, and she doesn't really she gives like the basics, and then she kind of just trusts Mrs. Croker with like handling out their side of the operation, which is nice.
Yeah, I feel like that definitely connects back to her spy work, right? Like that was introduced in Cracking Mrs. Croker, like the iconic episode. I mean, like I always wanted the Order to come back somehow because I mean, dude, come on, we got like a really badass fight out of Croker fighting like what's the guy's name? Like Jebediah, right? It was Jebediah, right? I was like, I can't remember, but yeah, like I'm just really happy that the Order has come back in subtle ways. Like maybe they haven't really really directly mentioned it, but I do feel like these are the ways it's come back.
I'm glad these episodes are giving like importance to everyone's favorite older episodes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You love this
also
shit. You'll love to see it.
Yeah, and also like the fact that Sasha gives Croker like her own team and like to execute a plan is also another improvement in Sasha's part because now she's not as micromanaging as before. She's actually starting to trust people a lot more with other responsibilities.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I
she's
mean,
learned to take less control in general, but like still leading. She's not like just letting. Well, I guess technically she did let them do their own thing here, but it's more so her trusting other people to do their thing, and so which is good leadership in and of itself, you know.
yeah,
So
I mean, I'll admit, like I really am pleased. I mean, yeah, I really am pleased with how they're handling Sasha this second half because I know before we even got to theory, I just really enjoyed the idea of Sasha still having her leadership position, but like learning how to handle it in a healthy way. And now we have her like really dealing with the actual ideas of leadership, right? Like sort of combing through all of it. So that's pretty nice to see. Like she's basically went from like a dictator to actually like handling the complex ideas of what leadership is. So you love to see it.
Yeah, I think what I find most important in any sort of redemption arc that requires a drastic change in morality is for it to change the morality of the characters, to change the way they think about things, but not necessarily change who they are when they're like fundamental personality traits. Because I think it's important for a character arc to allow a character to start off bad and be a bad leader and then become good and become a good leader rather than being a bad leader and their arc being like, okay, I'm no longer that person at all. Like having them keep a little bit of their rough edge or like showing their sort of previously mean spirited traits in a better light or in a better way of using them always I feel like feels really special because it doesn't just feel like an overhaul of their personality.
You know, I completely agree. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Pickle. Uh, I guess we can go through just like the rest of the scene in the briefing room where we see Toady doesn't really, even though this isn't the first time Toady has tried to like avoid, I guess, direct combat. So he's always preferred being like the lookout, and we kind of see here he's not really. He prefers to be more of the admin role of this rebellion, even though Croker is like like they're on their I think sixth mission. They've done quite a few missions at this point, and like Croker's is kind of insisting on Toady like kind of shedding away his like or putting his like normal personality like on hold and kind of like embracing the times. And we get that like
Yeah.
hilarious like scene of like all the townies like gearing up and just being like hardcore and
Yeah.
I especially love the Wally scene with the duck.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the bait and switch. Love that. But I will say, I feel like, yeah, Toadie's whole, like, the fact that Toadie's just finding it so hard to adjust to basically the apocalypse, like everyone else, just makes so much sense. Because I know, compared to them, like, he was pretty pampered, right? Like, him and Toadstool were, like, living off of, like, mooching off the town. So, like, yeah, just the fact that they don't know what it's like to, like, live it rough just makes a lot of sense. I mean, I guess, honestly, Toadstool might be getting by just fine. Because all he's doing now is just counting gold. But, like, Toadie, Tony who's being brought out on missions, yeah, it's gonna be a little hard for him.
I mean,
I feel like Toadstool too is like we saw him whoop some ass before, like in Turning Point and like in Total Redemption. Like I think Toadstool can hold himself. I mean, he's
yeah.
he's definitely been pampered, but like he can do a little something. Toady though, well, this episode he did, but eventually, but not all the time.
You're not wrong about Toadstool.
Yeah,
You're not
I
wrong.
was
Honestly, I can't believe I forgot about like he whooped some ass that episode. I'm like, how can I?
I was I was gonna point out Toadstool because we saw in Sprivey that like he's managing like the finance of the rebellion and stuff. So Well, yeah, he can kick ass. He still does prefer like the more, I guess, like business stuff of the rebellion. Like instead of, he prefers to like manage like resources and like money instead of kicking ass and stuff, because that's what he's best at. And
That's true.
that leaks with Toady as well, because like Toady prefers to be more of like what Thumb says, an administrator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of like a. Yeah, I guess he prefers the planning. That kind of comes back into play later on, but I'll talk about that when we get there. Uh,
And sorry. I just want to say one thing. Honestly, I don't know. It's just damn. I mean, the more I think about it, just Toadie's whole deal just makes so much sense here. I mean, I know like he probably manages Toadstool's life, like right, like from morning to night. So like him just wanting to be the tactical side of the mission, just handling all the planning, the managing, all that. It just makes sense because that was basically his whole life, right? Like managing Toadstool's political campaign. Like I don't know. I just it just makes so much sense how they used him in this episode. I just can't help but think about that.
yeah,
And he does end up being the like manager of the group when Croker eventually gets knocked out. Like he still does that. He's just a bit more tough about it, and he really takes control.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't come like he changes, but like not totally. He doesn't lose like the talents he already had, which I really appreciate that. They could have made him like totally different when he goes all crazy, but I like that they kind of made sure to keep like the management skills, I guess leadership skills. I would say more management than anything, but like keeping that part of his character while he's still going all wild. So yeah.
right. Like
Because
we'll cover that part of the episode when we get there. But yeah, I think Jack. I'm looking up Toadie's voice actor. I know he's the voice of Wander
He's
and
Fix It Felix, yeah, Jack McBrayer.
right. Yeah, he does a great job in this episode.
Yeah, I was gonna mention him because like hit what was I saying? Yeah, like Jack. mm, Jack is very Jack is kind of like a one note like VA, because he has the voices like makes you, I guess, calm and stuff. Like his voice is perfect for like
It's pleasant.
children's shows. Yeah, it's pleasant. It's like it's very inviting. So when he takes on roles that like requires him to be a little more manic, it's weird, but it also fits, because it's like you're seeing this like gentle person becoming mad, and it's like it's disturbing. It's also kind of neat.
Right, but and like at this point in the episode, Toadie's still kind of like he's still kind of sheltered in his comfort zone, and Mrs. Croker is like trying to give him the pep talk, and which is nice. And we eventually get to the Marauders camp, and I know Sasha briefly mentioned how they don't have they have no allegiance to the rebellion or Andrea, so they're kind of just there, and they have to like recover. They have to steal back their own supplies, and at this point, like Anne and Sasha split away from the townsfolk for this mission, and I I love how did they fall for like the loot in the tent trap?
Lago just hurried them. Like Lago just had no patience. He was like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like Sasha was like, oh, this is weird. I don't know about this guy. Lago was like, who cares? Then he just made them run over the tent. like, what the hell, Lago?
Lago seems to be leaning more into bronze than brain.
Yeah, all those
Yeah.
gains, all his gains. Honestly, made him a arrogant.
Yeah, because he's like he has nothing to fear now. He's invincible.
Yeah, yeah. Not even Andrews can stop him.
and and then also like when we got that brief moment of Toady bumping into Maddie, and then like the curse hex goes off, even though it was probably just like a teleportation thing, or Maddie just avoided. But it was a nice way to show that like. I mean, I'm guessing everyone at this point who's watching this episode is aware that Maddie's a magic user, but it's just a nice reminder.
Yeah. I mean, I just really love seeing how much she improves since literally, like, since Curse, right? Like, that's when she started really showing off her stuff. And I don't know, man. It's just awesome. She had, like, so many neat tricks this episode.
Yeah, and then yes, like back at the Marauder camp, they get ambushed. Anne and Sasha escape, but then the rest of the townsfolk are trapped and captured. We'll cover the Anne and Sasha stuff later, but I just want to focus on the Marauder camp plot here. So they're all captured, and then we get the reveal that the leader of the Marauders is Barry of all people.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I had my fingers crossed. I was like, bog, 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 bog,
Yeah.
bog. It was fucking Barry. Holy shit!
But like right when you see the bow
I feel like
tie,
you had to know. Like,
Yeah, like I was like, that's not Bog. Like, seriously, I was like, oh, Bog isn't gonna come here. But I was like, okay, who is this then? Is it gonna be someone cool? Then it's like the fucking Barry takes off his helmet. I'm like, what the fuck?
The helmet doesn't fit him at all either, because he's
Look at
wearing
that.
his normal like circus outfit, and he's just wearing the like death helmet.
I
I
feel like
honestly forgot what he
they
looked like.
knew. Like,
Oh shit!
I was gonna say, I think I feel like the writers clearly knew that we weren't thinking about Barry for a long time because he hasn't showed up in like a while. I don't know. I feel like most people would have assumed the Bog. Like it just seemed like the obvious, like, oh yeah, it's definitely Bog, right? But the more I think about it, I guess Bog would probably work for Andreas now. They established that like pretty early in this episode that we got like three factions, we got the Resistance, we got Marauders, and then we got people working directly for Andreas. So I'm assuming Bog's gonna be a part of that mumbo jumbo, but hilarious that it was Barry though. It works
Yeah.
so well too. Like it's great.
I still,
If-
I still love the show for that twist. Like, I loved it. I love 3B for all the callbacks to season one.
Yeah.
Barry being back, I'll still take that. I'll still take it.
if they brought back Barry in this episode, there is no way that they're probably gonna bring Jeremy back. Like I'll just say that.
Let's go.
Do you think there's gonna be like a spore mind control thing part 3 that involves Jeremy? Because didn't
Yeah.
Jeremy get like possessed?
Mhm.
yeah, as much as I want
Yeah.
to talk about Apotha Jeremy, like we'll save that talk for later, because like, man, like this show it's like season 1 is like you can just keep pulling from season 1 and just it's so rewarding. Like,
The Grubhog. We gotta get that back.
oh my god, if the
Well,
grub
Grubhog appeared in like Olivia and Yunan. So
Well, I
think that
mean more
counts.
so like
our Grubhog.
whatever, never mind. Yeah.
Sure. But yeah, I feel bad for the people who skipped season 1 because they thought it was filler. But at the
Feel
same time, I'm
bad?
not.
Yikes.
We
No, I'm
laugh.
not, I'm
we
not.
laugh at their. We'll laugh at their graves.
uh,
Oh.
Well, hopefully they're going back and watching it all now.
Yeah, it's a win-win, I guess. Like, if you saw season 1, you've been rewarded. If you haven't seen the segment, then maybe you'll give it a try, and hopefully you'll like it.
yeah. Also, I think we forgot to mention this, like in the briefing. Like this is like the first episode that we don't see any of the planters.
Like, usually when we got Sasha episodes, we wouldn't see the planners at all. But yeah, I get what you mean. Like in a Wartwood setting itself.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this the first? This is the first time Anne isn't with the planters at all in any scene, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yes.
that's Huh. That's neat. I didn't. Huh.
That's pretty huge if
Yeah.
I do say so myself.
Yeah. When you think about it, huh? That's a whole thing about. Well, they're not separate, but like the planters and Anne are always like, like
A
stuck with
package.
each other. Yeah. So it's like
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
And to be fair, like we also did get like in the season earlier in the season we got the first episode with the planters without Anne on the focus, which is like Adventures in Cat Sitting. So it's nice to have we got the inverse of that.
Yeah. I'm just really like, honestly, yeah, that's why I'm just really happy. Like, this was pretty much like that's why I'm really happy. Ann and Sasha were pretty hands off this episode until like, well, I mean, I know they got their little snippets here and there, but I was just really happy that this really just felt like a genuine episode about just Wartwood, right? Like, just this core. Is it five? Is it five? I didn't even count. Like, how many people are there? I think it's five people,
It's
right?
5,
Like,
yeah.
5 Wartwood. Yeah.
Five
Cody,
people,
Just
yeah.
focusing on these
Loggle,
5.
Wally, Croker, and Sasha, and Ann.
Yeah. It's just really great to focus on them.
And then yeah, so the townsfolk are all in jail. Not jail, in their cell. Barry gives a speech about he makes all these like jokes about sweets and anarchy. I like those puns. Like he's like, who thought anarchy would be so sweet? What, like it's all the corny
Yeah.
stuff, which is nice. It's Barry, so you have to expect that from him. And then yeah, like so Croker starts coming up with a plan to get out, and I love that. I love that Toad Guard that has like that very like it's like the voice you would hear in in on the PA for it's the voice you'd hear like on like a speaker like telling out and telling announcements or like a recorded voicemail message kind of voice. Like when he asks like Croker about like feedback when like filling out like a feedback card when she like pretends to be like she tries to play up her
Woman.
old people privileges, I guess. I don't know what to call it.
Oh, that's who you were talking about. I thought you were talking about like the
The
huge
buff
like
dude. Yeah.
yeah with the squeaky voice.
Yeah.
I had to think about who that was.
Oh,
Like,
sorry, yeah, I should specify. Yeah, I was talking about the guard that they knock out to get the key. But yeah, we also
he
had
gets knocked out.
that weird that I forgot the name of the guard. It doesn't matter, but like he used to be like an accountant, and then he has that like high pitched voice about and he talks about
He
drinking.
sounds
Yeah.
like someone who would leave a pamphlet on my doorknob or something.
Yeah,
He sounds like me impersonating Mickey Mouse.
yeah, and then so they actually get out of the cage and they're trying to escape, and then like we get that moment of like Toady trying to be trying to assert his dominance against that one Toad guy, and then he just gets thrown like a ball and knocks Mrs. Croker out. And like I like how Croker is like I think Nick mentioned earlier, like Croker like had the most experience of them all, so like her getting like taken out of the episode was kind of like for the characters that kind of made them that that kind of like brought morale down a bit, and then they all start freaking out, which is like Loggle kind of just defaults to like doing push-ups. Like this guy's muscles are all like it's all for show at this point. I don't know.
He's into that gain life.
Yeah, and then that one Toad guard, just that one Toad. I don't know if it's Toad or a Frog. That this one Marauder keeps bullying Toady, and then I like how early on the episode they established like the bow, like like when Toady like messed up his bow tie, like it kind like that's what like was like that kind of freaked him out, and then he quickly like put it back to normal. And then here, when it's taken from him, that's kind of like the last straw that breaks him.
Yeah, and also he got his like pencils and sticky notes broken too.
I gotta wonder, do you think it's a purposeful like parallel when he kneels on the ground and it sort of zooms into him with the sad music? Do you think that's a purposeful parallel to True Colors?
That's what I would. That's
knew
what
you were gonna
I.
say
That
that.
was my first thought, but I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh.
I didn't even think
What? How was it? What? You guys are insane. You guys are literally insane. You guys are insane.
Every close up crying moment is
Yeah.
a True Colors reference.
Everything's a True Colors reference.
every stab is a true colors. uh,
I mean,
I think like one. Oh,
no.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna
Go ahead.
mention-
Impact.
one thing I was gonna mention, that I thought was really funny, was just the banter between the Wartwood crew, our townies. Like, like Wally is just like, just bring me to the boom shrooms, and then I forget what Maddie says. Like, and then what? Just bring me to them. I'll see what happens. That banter was really funny. Like, and we mentioned Loggo already. Loggo's muscles have been like, what's like
For
his
show.
whole thing. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they've been making that joke a lot with him, where he's just like, that's his like, yeah, that's kind of his whole thing. Like now that he's buff, which is funny. I like that they kept that a little bit a part of him with like creating the bridge and stuff that we saw in season 1. So that was nice, but I don't know. I just love the banter between all of them. I think that was great.
Yeah, Maddie brought up like trying to curse all the guards with like those voodoo dolls, and
She needed like their hair or something. I
yeah,
forget exactly what she said. Yeah.
Yeah, and it probably took like one day or 1 month.
and
Yeah. Oh yeah, and also sorry about interrupting, but like
no
speaking
worries.
of buff Loggo, not gonna lie, he kind of makes me uncomfortable.
Like, has he done his
Like
like
Buff Loggle?
Yeah, I guess I just don't like overly muscle people.
like has he done his like signature like draw out like the phrase like draw out the sentence thing he did in the
Oh, he
Oh,
past?
hasn't yet. He
Nah,
hasn't.
he hasn't. He
Nah.
hasn't.
Oh, I hope they bring
Not
that back. I
yet.
don't want them to like replace this gag.
Yeah, I guess they. Yeah, I hope it happens. Yeah, like I don't know, Sprig's dying, and like someone's like, "Does anyone can anyone do anything?" Then like,
I do. I don't.
I can. I can.
Yeah, I hope we get. Yeah, that was like his like signature thing, and
yeah,
but then he
Yeah,
got
and now
buff.
they just made. Yeah, he became buff, and now that's his thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like yeah, Toady gets broken, and apparently there's a sticky note where he wrote down like Mrs. Croker's like words of encouragement, and that's kind of when he like that's when Toady goes like feral, not completely feral, like you guys brought up earlier, like he stole like he doesn't like go into like a mindless rage, he just stops holding back, and
Yeah,
he kind of gets he kind of like
Yeah, he
takes over
basically
the
snaps.
situation.
It's like contained anger, which is probably the most intimidating kind.
yeah. Dude, it was really funny when he kept on slapping Loggo. The Loggo was like, "Stop slapping me!" Like he was like, "Enough of that shit." Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, and then yeah, so they come up with the plan. They somehow made a bunch of like fake like a bunch of replicas of themselves. I'm not sure where they got the resources for that, but that's just the way the segment goes. But yeah, I guess Loggle shows off his strength where he pretty much digs the tunnel with his bare hands, which is pretty
that's insane.
yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I take back my comment about like Loggle's muscles just being for show. Like there's a use for it here, and it's great. And I kind of
Yeah,
I feel bad for finding this funny, but I like how like Mrs. Croker's kind of like wrapped like a little like wrapped like a baby being carried on Loggle's back.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a burrito. Yeah, she's like wrapped up in a burrito with like being carried in Goggle's back. Oh yeah, and also Maddie knows mind jacking spells. That's disturbing.
Mm,
That was pretty
only to
cool.
like
Oh, Pickle, you're
Oh,
you
you
gonna
got
say
it, Pickle?
something?
only to like spiders. I don't know how powerful magic is.
Oh yeah, true. But like,
Yeah, maybe it's just small creatures or something, but I mean, it's still a really cool power to have because, like, no one's going to be paying attention to a spider just crawling around right now. She can, like, just look at the whole area, feel. I mean, I wonder why she didn't. Well, okay, I was going to ask why she didn't do that before. I guess she has to be up close to them or something.
yeah.
Just to find one.
But like the fact that she can do that is still like a big improvement
Yeah,
on her magic.
absolutely.
Like she has learned a lot from the last time we saw her. Which
I
is
think
which is like an episode where she's like where she does try and learn new spells and stuff. Like necromancy. Which again is like a nice continuity.
Yeah,
yeah, and I think like when I first saw that scene, I was a little confused on what was happening because I saw the purple eyes for the spider, and the first thing I thought of was like the the collars from last episode. I don't know why. Like, well, the purple eyes. I just said why. I was like, wait, what did Maddie just do? Like, oh, she's seeing out of the spider. Okay, I didn't get that at first, so I had to like think about it for a little bit. So, yeah.
yeah, I like. Yeah, when I first saw the eyes, like I was kind of confused, but then I realized, oh wait, like when they both like shake, like when they both rub their hands at the same time, then I got, oh okay, Maddie's kind of in control of the spider, and then oh that's why their eyes look similar. It means Maddie's in control. So it took me a while to like make the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think Maddie's general creepy aesthetic was done really well in this episode. Like, there's the scene where she kind of goes up right next to to Barry, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it," and he's like, "No, please don't do it." And she kind of just she like does the whole like giggle thing in like the Sinister Girl. Especially when it's the one directly after it. And I think her aesthetic is. I think it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, like when we get that like final battle at the end. Yeah, so yeah, we cover the tunnel. They get to the supplies. Wally's our boy Wally's so happy to be reunited with those bombs, and yeah, like Pickle, you brought up like Maddie's just like that evil grin. She knows she's going to like we all kind of knew like she had that same curse like ready to use on Barry. And oh yeah, and Sasha and Anne come back from their B plot, and they see the townies have it all under control. Uh, I think this is a good time to talk about the B plot of this episode, where
Yeah, I was gonna mention.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Oh, can we at least talk about the ending? Because that was really funny.
oh I was like I was gonna talk about the ending
I
once we cover the Sasha Anne stuff,
Oh,
because
okay.
since like
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
when
okay.
everything
All right.
intersects.
Yeah, because I think the ending is very interconnected to like the B plot, which is why we should probably start talking about it now.
Yeah, so like while this is all happening with the townsfolk, like Anne and Sasha got out, and Sasha has like complete faith in like the townies to get out of it, to like complete the mission. And the episode like and these like quick scenes are Anne kind of being a little bit frustrated by
Suspicious.
Sasha and kind of assuming, not the worst, kind of assuming like Sasha's still like indifferent to the frogs, that back compared to back in like reunion. So there's like a little bit of that. We get that disconnect between them, which is nice.
Yeah, and there's like a good transition between them too. It always feels like it connects with like the townie so well too that it's a very good like subplot that I was not expecting at all. This was like very fresh. I Amphibia doesn't do subplots like all too much. You know what I mean? Usually like the greatest example I can think of is like Bessie and Michelangelo, where we have like Anne trying to get a new like some new gear, and then like Bessie and Michelangelo doing their thing. So this was really unique. I think like at the beginning when Anne's like frustrated at Sasha, it makes perfect sense, especially considering like Anne's role in 3A. Like in general, even like this was season 2, Anne, she would still be frustrated. But I think like with Anne's been like caretaker for the planters for like a month or so. So like for her, like she's always like the first person to go out there and save somebody or protect them or take care of the people she loves, right? And like for and she doesn't really have that perception of she doesn't really she knows Sasha's changed, but she doesn't really know their relationship the with the townies. So I think that was like such a really cool conflict to give to a subplot. It was weird. It was nice. So I'll go into it a little more when, but yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's kind of like another this subplot is kind of like another follow up to like Second Temple, which is like and like proving her like heart and empathy for to Valeriana by like showing care to like the townies and stuff, and also like I think it's a good point like to bring out that while they're waiting for like the townies to get out, Sasha immediately offers Anne for a sword fighting rematch. She still wants the dub. She wants the rubber match.
Oh
Yeah, I guess because
yeah.
like Anne has her right now on 2-0, right? Like kicked her ass twice so
Yeah.
far, right? Yeah,
It also might be like
yeah.
who didn't want to see them like spar a little bit more, even if they weren't like at each other's throats. It's fun to see them sword fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Plus,
mean,
like,
I won't lie. Like their fights are like really, 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 really entertaining. Cause like they really bring out good things out of each other. I guess like yeah, this episode wasn't as dramatic as the other ones, but hey, it still really gave us solid ones. I mean, I think well, Sasha really shined here. I think I just really, really, really enjoyed what it did for Anne. Right, like I just love the fact they're still carrying over. You know, some of like the lingering bad blood that's still between them. Well, I guess just really just coming from Anne, honestly. But yeah, I thought they handled that really well.
yeah, plus like Anne is like very rusty in her sword fighting, so this is good practice for her once she's ready to hold the broadsword that she's destined to hold.
And when's she gonna get to use a blue sword?
Soon.
Soon.
Newts and tights. Just gotta hold on.
Yeah, Newts and Ties. We just gotta keep waiting. We're almost there.
I think for me, like the really cool thing about this segment too was like Anne's kind of like had to learn how to like remove her preconceptions of people from her past a lot in season 3. So like a great example is like Mr. X, right? She has these kind of like preconceived notion of her parents that they won't be able to handle like um all the crazy stuff she's been dealing with like the robots or like FBI and whatnot. She wants to get them away because she has that past preconception of them. And like it's really cool that we kind of bring this back again with Sasha. But Sasha, it makes perfect sense because we've seen all the bad crap Sasha has done to Anne. And while Anne's being mature about like there's no reason to start arguing and yelling at her from last episode, there's still like that sense of tension. And Anne maybe like subconsciously still thinks of Sasha as that person she was before. She wants to accept her change, of course. But it's like it's very natural for Anne to have like that bad preconception. We saw that in Commander Anne a little bit with the manipulation line. And then we see it again here. And it's just nice to kind of I love that they bring that back in some way. It's a natural thing for both of them to have that conflict in this state, especially since Anne doesn't know Sasha's relationship to the other townies. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just love the fact that Anne assumes like automatically assumes the worst out of her, like even after everything happened to Commander Anne. Like, I mean, I just love the fact that it's not easy for them to really get over their issues. Even so, like each episode has really ended positively for them, right? Like, and just feeling pretty happy about these changes in Sasha. But yeah, I mean, she can see that Sasha's a different person now, but that's not really going to change what's happened in the past, right? Like, that's just something that they're going to have to process.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's actually go on, Pickle.
uh, to be honest, I kind of hope Sasha does do something wrong in terms of like I don't want them to do a whole nother like loop de loop of oh no she's evil again, okay she's gonna be good again, but I kind of want her to have some sort of B plot where she does make a mistake and does push Anne in the wrong way, not in like Commander Anne's way where it's like she's trying too hard to be good, but more like she relapses a little bit and then she like apologizes and goes back because I kind of want to show the like I want them to like show the bumps in the road as she's like learning to be better.
I would like that too. Yeah, I feel like because so far Sasha's like redemption has kind of been season 2 was very bumpy. Season 3 has kind of been in like this straight line of progression and improvement so far. When we hit a bump, we get better from it. Um, and I feel like that would be really cool. Honestly, I had thought that like Anne and Sasha were gonna have like more conflict in Almtown Road. I don't know why. It just kind of got that vibe from the description. But that would be like a fantastic thing to kind of give them in the middle of 3B to kind of like rupture and repair. Even though they've had a lot of ruptures before. To kind of for Anne to like start thinking poorly of Sasha a little bit, but not in like this out of character, like jerky kind of way. Just more so like Sasha makes some mistake or fails in some way, and Anne starts thinking maybe like this isn't actually gonna work out. So I think that would be really neat, but not make it too repetitive.
If you're
Yeah,
gonna go with that direction, like at least make it a bit minor. Like don't make it like a big plot point again, because like I think something that could be resolved very easily.
Yeah, I think it has to be minor within an episode, or else it's just like another one.
Yeah, it's
And
just gonna
you
be like
know,
another big
Yeah,
plot and like a series of big plots that we have to get through. And we already solved that already. So like why bring it up back up again? You know? Like that again, that's pretty repetitive.
I want it to be more of like a to show like Sasha is still not like she's still like learning to not be like her past self and not just like Anne keeps misjudging her and then Sasha's like, oh actually I'm perfect now, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I see what you
maybe
mean. Yeah.
I think giving Sasha a bit of a taste of failure might be like a good focus on that if they're gonna do that, you know.
Yeah,
Like
I think it could add some interesting depth to the kind of the new Sasha.
yeah, because like if there's one thing that we do know about Sasha, like before 3B and during 3B is that she probably doesn't still like failure. So it would be interesting if she gets that after this, you know.
I feel like if you were gonna do that, for me, like I kind of like the idea of like Sasha messing up, but Anne having her back a little bit more in the sense of like I feel like all these ruptures right now for Anne and Sasha at this point I feel like we've had enough like conflict with them to feel like if Sasha does mess up or make a mistake in some way, I do would like the idea of Anne kind of supports her a little bit. Um I mean I like the conflict idea too, but I also like after that like confrontation or after Sasha messes up and she's got her back. You know what I mean? They're in a partnership here at the end of the day. So like
Yeah.
they're equals, you know? They
Yeah.
always got each other's back no matter what. So I kind of would
Yeah.
like that more.
Yeah, plus like all of these episodes, like the conflict comes from Anne's doubt with Sasha. So making that the reverse of it, which is like Sasha's now the one who is like having issues, would be a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, I liked all these observations. Yeah, yeah, I like this layer that Anne has with Sasha now. It's it kind of carries over into the next episode too, which is nice. And I guess we can like cover like the final scene or the final act of this episode where like Sasha and Anne kind of they come back to the camp and they see the townies are pretty much like have the situation
They're
under
kicking some
control in a
ass.
way. Yeah, and
They're kicking some major ass right there.
oh, absolutely. Like Toady like takes down that toad that picked on him earlier and gets his bow back, his bow
Yeah.
tie back, and I love. Yeah, we already covered Maddie like cursing Barry again, and I love that joke about how like Anne is shocked about Toady, and then Toadie's just like, yeah, this is how I dress Toadstool in the morning. Like damn, how is Toad's like I'm guessing Toadstool is already just like an like a grown like a man child.
I don't even know. It's ambiguous. Like it's very ambiguous, I guess. Like I'm not even sure.
Yeah, and then like
Yeah,
oh, go ahead, Pickle.
I think it's kind of funny the way Toady and Toadstool just kind of drop the very weird details about each other like casually, and it's kind of a gag at this point.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Oh yeah, like Toadstool just expected like Toady to come with him to like Toad Tower, kind of like he's like part of the luggage, I guess, in that episode. But uh, yeah, I like how like Loggle is pretty much like just carrying everything out. Like he's like their snail in a way, but because Buff Loggle. Uh, yeah, we get that like like Mrs. Croker like is awake and she's proud of Toady, which is a nice moment, and we get that last scene of not last scene, second last scene of the episode with Sasha and Anne, and Sasha kind of points out that she was able to spend time with the townsfolk like while Anne was away, and she's had her own adventures with them, and she doesn't see them as soldiers the way which is what Anne thought Sasha saw them as, but that's not the case, and which is nice.
Yeah, and
I
I
don't
think
know.
like
It's oh god.
no, Nick, you go.
Like, I'm just disappointed in like Wally, Natty, and Lago for like like what the fuck was that? Like Mrs. Croker's like, good job, Tony. I always knew you had it in you. Then you just fucking tell him, no, we doubted you the whole time, man. What's with that? Come on, it's kind of mean.
Brutal.
Like just tell him straight to his face about it. Damn.
I like how the difference between how Sasha saw and acted with the Wartwood townies, who she kind of is a commander of, versus how she was with Percy and Braddock. I like how both
Ooh, actually, yeah. No, you're
was both times she was friends with them, but at the same time, the way she definitely thought of herself, I think, as friends with Percy and Braddock, but she always put herself first. And then with the other three, she really knows, or four of them, yeah. With the Wartwood citizens, she thinks of herself as their friend and their commander, and she has those commander roles and duties over them, but she also values each of them, and she knows what they can and can't do and lets them make their own decisions more.
Yeah,
Having that kind of healthy, like obviously healthy relationships, but just in general of like that healthy viewpoint of leadership, where Sasha isn't thinking of them as just like tools to win the game. at the end of the day. She's thinking of them as people, which is why she has faith that that the Wartwood crew was able to get out of there safely, and they did. So that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, she kind of makes that. She also brings up how she learned that from Anne, which is a nice moment. It took Sasha a while to figure it out, but I'm glad she got to this point.
Yeah.
And then I guess we can go into the final scene of
Yes,
Barry.
that's what I was. Yes, that's what I really wanted to get to.
Yeah, like Barry is just he's like, oh man, like one of the Marauders just like, oh, what are we gonna eat? And then Barry's like, oh, this is the worst. And just end like all the other Marauders are just eyeing Barry like 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 even the toad in the back has a fork and knife out. Like she's ready to. This show loves its cannibals. Like
I just thought like fucking Barry goes like, holy! Like, oh, it's really funny.
Like the audio effect of just the macaque just overlaid.
yeah, I love how out of place that was because like that just made it more funny.
It was like a censorship thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it like that.
Yeah, and then and that's Sasha's Angels. Like we've covered. I believe we covered everything in the episode. I'm just looking back at my notes again. Yeah, I think we covered everything. So if there's any,
Yeah, I don't have much else.
yeah,
I was gonna say I don't have much else to say for that.
yeah, if there's any final thoughts on, not final thoughts, final thoughts, I guess final observations before we go into Old Town Road. Nope. Okay, I guess we can go into Old Town Road then, which was directed by Roxanne Cole, written by Gloria Shen, and storyboards by Inbal Breda, Cassie Zwart, and Anna Lencioni. She I think she or they, actually I'm not really sure. They started boarding Amphibia like on Escape to Amphibia, which is like nice. I was just surprised to see like a new face at the time, but good for them for like getting this gig. Yeah, so Old Town Road was just about, it was about the Resistance trying to find, like they've been doing all these raids and they're trying to find like an actual like long-term goal or some kind of plan that will actually like kind of like severely like to put a dent in Andrews's like operation. That's the whole point, because everything they've done so far is kind of small scale from their point of view. And that's when we get the Mother of Olms callback back from Fight at the Museum, and that leads them to this journey of callbacks. Once again, another callback. We go back to Quarler's Pass. We get the entrance to Proteus, which is like the city of where all the Olms live, and we got the return of those conjoined twin Olms. I'll get their name later, but like that was all fun. Proteus was amazing. Just a really solid this is a really solid episode. Like just from like in every aspect. I guess those are my general thoughts for now. But man, yeah, I love this episode. Pickle, what are your thoughts on Old Town Road?
Really, really good episode. I think like the first thing that really comes to mind about this episode is I loved the graphics about it. The backgrounds were just absolutely beautiful. The character designs of basically everyone new involved. I think most importantly, what was her name? The one starting with a P, but the sort of Queen of Ohms. Her design was really
Parisia
pretty.
or something like that.
Persia. Parisia.
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 Yeah, especially I don't know. I guess we'll go into talking about it later. Her design was very beautiful and also had some very interesting aspects lore wise with the eye on her like necklace thing resembling the core. And the backgrounds are really pretty with the purple water. And also a lot of new lore that I'm sure we'll get into involving codes and a new mural and just in general just a really great episode for like new content as well as a fun episode to watch as usual. I mean, that's my rough thoughts.
All right. Thank you, Pickle. Impact. What are your thoughts on Hometown Road?
Hometown Road was really fun. This was I feel like this is season 3's whole tagline of like this is not how I expected that to go, but okay. Because with this episode, like I did not expect that we would get a Sasha episode. This one, I swore it was gonna be Sasha's Angels, and then this one was gonna be focused on Anne. But I actually really liked that. It was nice to kind of give Sasha that opportunity, especially with all the lore stuff too. Sasha hasn't been involved in a lot of those, so I think that was great. Proteus is so cool looking. I love the purple look of it all. It looked so cool. I'm not really like the lore dude in terms of like ciphering runes and such. I just go like, man, that looks really cool, and then just keep watching the episode. But I really liked it. Proteus was really cool. The alms were really neat. Um, and yeah, this episode was just really, really fun. I'll go into more detail about Sasha and stuff and her role this episode in general when we get to it. But like the pacing of this episode was on point. The new setting was awesome. The lore was on point. We're gonna get a lot more later, but for what we know, like now, this was really neat. I really like Hometown Road. So yeah, great episode.
All right. Thank you, Impact. Lemur, what are your thoughts on Hometown Road?
Old Town Road is another great episode from this show. Like, in terms of everything that we want, this is pretty close to giving us everything. Like callbacks, lore development, a new setting that we could explore, like more character development from one of this season's highlights. It almost is pretty much everything that we ever wanted, and the fact that this is just a setup episode for next week is incredible. Like I can't dive into this episode here because we're getting to that like later, like shortly after this. But as of now, like Hometown Road is such a good episode. It is great.
All right. Thank you, Lemur. And Nick, what are your thoughts on Hometown Road?
It's, I mean, basically what basically what everyone has already said, right? Like a really, really, really good episode, full of like really satisfying callbacks to previous episodes that you never really thought would ever come back in a significant way. But yeah, just yeah, I was also surprised that this was I guess like another. I don't want to call it another Sasha episode, but like yeah, this was definitely another episode where they like, sort of gave Sasha a character study here, right? So that was pretty nice to see. Honestly, I don't really have much. I don't really have much to say about the episode. Like, I just thought it was pretty neat, really.
All right. Thank you, Nick. So I guess to start off the episode, it starts in the planning, like in the not in the same meeting room. It's more like Sasha. It was Sasha's like office in a way. Um, yeah, they're trying to figure out how to take down Andreas in a more significant way, and then that's when Anne and Hop Pop bring up what they saw back on Earth. And of course, like Anne kind of just like gives Frobo her phone, and he just swallows it and projects the picture up. It's just technology things. But what was kind of weird, not weird, just it was odd how like Croaker just like immediately could read Newtopian, like
Oh,
Newtopian language, like
I was thinking about that too. Like, I thought it made sense though, because I know like I feel like Croaker's older. You know, she's one of the older frogs of the cast, and she was a secret agent too. So I'm like, I don't know. I kind of get the vibe that because I'm pretty sure the Utopian language is in Utopia. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm just making sure because there's different languages we get in the show, so it's like now we got a new one. But like, I felt like it made sense. Like I don't know. I questioned it too, but like I could buy that Miss Croaker new Utopian. I don't know. That sounded like that made sense to me. She was a secret agent. She went all around the world. I could buy that. Like
It's also like I know Marcy's like called like the ancient utopian runes or something before, but we've seen utopian citizens casually use the language in like the Poly and Annas.
yeah, and she called it a dead language.
Yeah, I just feel like this
Oh.
is just
It wasn't.
I
At
think
least
feel like
according
this
to
what she meant by that is that no one uses it in like a speaking manner, but some people use like it in writing and stuff. You know.
I mean, like this just has to go back to the order, right? I mean, she's a spy, right? Like a retired one, so like she had to learn a couple like ancient languages here. Like I can see it making sense.
Yeah.
Also,
But don't forget, crack Mrs. Croker.
maybe it's
I
like
know
Latin,
people
where
want
it's dead, but it's
people.
not really.
yeah, and also like, didn't we saw like a Mrs. Kroger ancestor in that 3B teaser?
I mean,
We did.
that was not
Wait.
like
Wait,
a
we did?
no. It was just like it was someone who looked like Mrs. Croaker with the one eye and thing. It's like
Oh.
okay, like maybe.
Nah, Mrs. Croker's just that old.
I mean, I
Hey,
don't
what
doubt.
the hell?
I don't
Holy
doubt that
shit!
I don't doubt that she's alive at the time where she can like learn that stuff. You know.
Enough about the
I,
planet ancestor. We got to start investigating
oh my
this.
god! I'm literally watching it right now. Holy shit! It actually does look like her. What?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know, right? Like I said, like she might know because of her ancestor.
I just feel like it's because of the order, right? Like it's spy stuff, right? Like that has to teach her some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think that too, but like it also helps, you know.
Yeah,
I think
it's that cracking Mrs. Croker relevance.
And
Mrs.
think,
Kroger
like-
is the most important character in the show.
I guess like I forgot to mention this like before Anne like introduces the Mother of Olm's like knowledge, like the stuff they got back on Earth. Like Sasha mentions how they've been getting these wins and like right when everyone's about to celebrate, she tells them not to, and I guess that kind of makes
have no plan.
that kind of makes last week's gag a little bit more funny. How right when Sasha left, they all immediately asked Grime and Anne to have a party. Like they didn't want to ask Sasha for this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I guess Grime really has chilled out, huh?
I feel like
Now
it's
it's
common to
Sasha
Anne
being
and
the hard ass.
I
Oh,
was just gonna say like I think it's the combination of like Anne and Grime there that made them want to ask that. You know what I mean? Because Anne would have been a little bit more like, yeah, sure, why not? So I think it's a combination of both of them. But
Yeah.
I think like the thing that was funny to me is that Sasha said we need an actual plan. Like they didn't have one already. Like it makes sense why they didn't, because like what are they gonna do to Andrius's whole army? But I just find that funny that Sasha was just doing stuff just to mess with Andrius. She had like no big end game.
oh yeah, that's
I just find that funny.
She's a good
Yeah,
strategist.
that's
She's still like 13 to 15, so
Yeah.
that was something I was thinking about like all the way back in Sprite because like I mean these are just random robot camps on the outskirts like right next to Warwick. I mean like is Andrews really gonna give a shit about that? I mean like because I feel like what's really important to him is just him getting his robot army, right? Just so he can invade other worlds. So it just made me think, like, does this really matter to him? Like, is there a reason why he's not trying harder to crush the rebellion? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It feels like there's sort of mosquitoes to him right now. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, and
But
I think
I
like
think he cares about them more than that, just because Anne is on their side, and it's Sasha and Anne who are like the important prophecy people who he didn't want to be letting them get their power. But I mean, judging by the fact that Sasha has only mentioned like there's the Marauders, there's the Resistance, and there's Andreas. It feels like the Resistance is kind of big. If like there's really only those two sides and then a handful of neutral people.
I thought like when here's the interesting thing. I didn't even mention this in Sasha's Angels. So like when Barry is telling like they're gonna sell like
Oh,
a
yeah, them
Wartwood
to
crew.
Andreas.
Yeah. Yeah. So like Andreas knows like the resistance fighters like I don't know, costs like more money or they're more valuable or something. So Andreas knows about the resistance, right? Like there has to be like he never mentioned them, but like he clearly knows they exist. I just don't know if he knows Anne's there. I'm assuming not. Because I feel like we would have seen that.
I don't think he knows that Anne's back. That's why he's
I
very
think when-
relaxed.
I think the next time we see Andreas and or Darcy is going to be when they find out that Anne's back.
I mean,
Yeah.
if Andrews finds out, he's probably gonna shit his pants.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Like, if
because
Anne was-
he
if Anne was
like
Bring a
problem
whole
on
army to
Earth-
Wartwood.
If Anne was a problem on Earth, she's gonna be a much bigger problem on Amphibia, where she can actually get like all the important information she fucking needs about the prophecy. I mean, he's gonna be in deep shit. Like, I feel like the court's gonna be pretty pissed off that she's
Yeah, like-
not dead yet.
right, like literally, like in the new normal, he says like the one person who can stand my way is Anne,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
now she's like back in, like, and now she's like back in Amphibia, and now she's like has like she's pretty much the hero in this world in a way.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be happy. Like, he's not gonna be happy about that. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
why
wait
I
for
thought,
another
like-
raid.
Yeah, like the last time we saw Andreas, he's like, he's pissed off, but he says that it won't matter because once he finishes his RB, he says everything is over. But like,
God, that was such good delivery on. Sorry, not to, but that was like just such good delivery on like Keith David's part. Like I just thought back to that line, right? Like he was like, it doesn't matter. No one can stand up against us, right? Like not anyone. Like it was just really good.
Yeah, and then so I guess yeah, so they need they need a long-term strategy, and then like when they bring up the mother of Olms and Grimes like, oh, no one's seen Olm. That's when the planter children burst out of like the
Yeah.
sack they were hiding in, and that they basically said like, so they remembered those Olms names. Damn, I didn't pull it up. It was like Edwin
It was Lysol and Angwin.
Egwin. Yeah, wait, was it Egwin? Lysol?
I think it was Angwin.
Angwin.
Angwin. Okay.
Lysol
like,
and
like the
Angwin.
cleaning supply.
So like Angwin as in like penguin?
I think it's spelled differently, but I think it's pronounced that. I don't know. I'm just gonna go double check.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they mentioned like Lysol and Egwin and from Quarreller's Pass, and they don't really have like any other option. So we go back
So
to
it's-
Quarreller's Pass. And, oh, go ahead, Pickle.
It is Lysol and Angwin.
Okay.
Like ANGWIN, and Lysol is just LYSIL.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, so they go back to Quarreller's Pass. I like how I remember this kind of like color. How do I call this color palette? Where it's like kind of like dulled out on the outside. Like all their colors are kind of muted in a way to show like they're high up and surrounded by fog in a way. So it was nice for us to like revisit that setting, and then we see Andrews.
Oh wait.
Oh, go ahead, Impact.
I was gonna mention something since now we're in Quarreller's Pass now with Joe Sparrow. Wait, we're on that point, right? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, like I was gonna bring up how like Andrews already has like Frobots set up here, like
Oh,
there's Frobots here for some reason, which we find out later. But
I was gonna say like, so I had originally thought, since we have like all these robots in the sky and stuff, and we have Utopia Castle in the sky, I had originally thought like Joe Sparrow wasn't even an option. I just kind of got that vibe, like with Andreas like having robots all over the place and all over the sky. It just seemed like a impossible thing to use now, which is why the episode is called Almtown Road, because we literally need to travel on the road to get there. That's what I originally thought, but like, no, we could just use Joe to fast travel again.
woohoo.
Apparently, Joe is too powerful for the freaking Frobots.
yeah, that kind of bugged me in this episode too. Like at least here they don't explain it. Like remember for Bessie Michelangelo and the Third Temple where they're like packing up the wagon and then they just end up taking Joe. Like, I mean, at least I think the good thing about season 2 where they showed the road trip is like we had that journey, and then now we're just just fast travel now. We don't need to relive the same moment over again.
Yeah, and it's just weird. I don't mind fast travel. It's just like that felt like at least my explanation, like I get why they did it. Because they have to get to Quirler's Pass relatively quickly, and Amphibia is kind of like not a playground, but like they need to get to places quickly. So I understand that. It was just like it just seemed like Amphibia was so different that like there's no way they can just ride on a bird, right? And just one of their robots would just shoot that thing down instantly, which I guess kind of adds to this thing too, where I'd originally thought like Anne not being seen would have been a bigger thing too, but I guess not. I don't know. It was a question mark in my head when that scene showed up. So yeah.
It is possible that just because it was the Quirrell's Pass is like way in the mountain and on that like rickety road, it's possible that Andreas just kind of was. It was just an oversight where he didn't really think it was worth having troops up there because pain in the ass up there who would be going through there. And Andreas has been kind of. I mean, he's been shutting down the resistance, but it seems like his focus is more on getting the Calamity Box to get him to other planets at this point.
Yeah,
Pretty much, yeah.
Plus developing his army, like he's more important with that stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I guess like because even like what I just said with like looking, because he's not going to be looking for Anne because there's no reason for him to assume Anne made it back to Amphibia. So, but I was surprised that like that wasn't a plot point, like a robot like seeing Anne or something, and then Andreas goes, "Yo, what the hell? Oh my god!" in this episode or like the previous one. So hopefully that that shows up soon. But I'm just very surprised that it hasn't been a thing. So I don't know. Just a thought.
Right. And then we get to Quirler's Pass and Spriggan Sprig and Polly they well it's Polly's idea to be annoying, and then that's what draws out Lysel and Angwin again, and I guess I'll just do it now so I don't do it later. Like, man, Quirler's Pass like coming back into play, that's great. Like,
Yeah.
Well played, Matt Brinley.
like there's no there's no like not just back into play. It's so like I'm glad they had this back in season 2. Just set up some ohms here, and then I think everyone had the same thought when Grimes like, oh, no one's seen an ohm in decades, and then like I think hopefully like people who remember this episode would think, oh wait, no, we saw ohms, and then that's when Sprig and Polly come back into play, and their sibling nonsense ended up like saving the plot.
Yeah, pretty much. Like they literally saved the world just now.
The
Like
fact-
you can't disagree. They saved the world. Nope. I don't want. No one can disagree. They literally saved the world by bickering.
The fact that Quarrelers Past even came back in the first place is crazy, because I just thought it's just like a one-off location that it's probably never gonna come back, and we didn't know the. But like we didn't even know the Proteus is under Quarrelers Pass this entire time. We
Yeah.
thought that they're gonna travel like someplace far away, but no, it's just right under Quarrelers Pass. That's crazy.
And
Yeah, that's still mind blowing.
when
I
when the
think
mother
like
when the
for-
Mother of Olms was first introduced, like some people started like looking back at this episode like, oh, like is this gonna be important or? And I like how there's some of that doubt happened. Like, oh, like maybe this is a thing, and yup, it is a thing, and it's great.
I think like for me, um, I'm gonna be positive here. I think like one of the things that does make this interesting is Quarler's Pass's place in season 2. The fact that like it was very weird. When I first watched Quarler's Pass, I was like, why is this next to a Sasha episode? That was weird. Because even like before with Prison Break and Toe Tax, I said them in reverse. But like there's obvious like there's a reason why they're both connected. With this one, it was a little weird. But it's interesting that like this episode that has Quarler's Pass in it, and Quarler's Pass was right next to a Sasha episode, that Sasha's the main focus here. I don't know. I find that interesting. Maybe that wasn't fully planned out, but I'd like to think it was somewhat. There's a reason why they connected the alms and stuff, and with Sasha and her importance in this episode, and they kind of put them together. So I don't know. Maybe that might be something they were thinking about when putting these episodes together. So
Either it's just a coincidence, or Matt Brawley and his crew are actually playing 4D chess.
Maybe the latter.
I
can
just
see
kind
maybe the
of
latter.
I just kind of hope Sasha gets to like ride Lazel Nanglin into battle at some point or something like that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Yeah, and yeah, we get that quick encounter where Lysel and Engwin try to like are considering like eating them all, and Sasha just pulls out her sword and kind of just like gets them to back off. Uh, and then we get this like back and forth between them where like I like how we'll see it later on, but Anne brought up the Mother of Olms, and then like immediately the two of them just kind of like freak out for a sec. Like how do you know that? Like I don't know anything. Shit, we just revealed that we know something about Mother Olm. And I just like how I like how all the Olms are kind of jumpy, or kind of like they're a little bit on edge when she gets brought up by these characters. And we get that I don't want to call it the Mother of Olms theme, maybe just like the Proteus theme, when I believe Engwin is talking about who the Mother of Olms is. And I'll talk about the music once we get to Proteus. But yeah, I like that. It felt like I think it's kind of like exposition done right. It feels like kind of natural, even though they are just explaining it. I'm not sure how to explain it even, but yeah, I just like that like small scene between the twins and the planners.
Yeah, and also like, didn't they also explain how they got kicked out from Proteus as well?
Oh right, yeah. They were arguing while on watch, and then some kind of animal, like some kind of bug, attacked the city, and then they got banished, and that's when like Sasha like forms a connection with the twins, and we get that nice moment where she talks about like everyone deserves a second chance, and Anne kind of understands where Sasha's coming from, and it's a nice moment.
Yeah, I mean, I always love seeing moments of like Anne's emotional intelligence. And yeah, it's like just right there, like she understands completely what Sasha was getting at. So it's really nice.
Yeah, Sasha's projecting a bit, but it's funny and it's like sweet that she's sticking up for people when she sees herself in them.
Gosh, Sasha in this episode is just so good.
Yeah, and then the twins agree to take them all to Proteus, and I like how Anne mentions like the fate of the world is at stake. Maybe they'll forgive you, and so it's nothing's really blocking the path. It's kind of they kind of just like go down a different pathway because I know back in Quartler's Pass they kind of established like these tunnels like were kind of like a maze, and that's when we get a little bit of like we get another language. We get like the language of the Olms and how it kind of emphasizes like I like how all the letters of the Olm language kind of like emphasizes the like ability to feel them, kind of like Braille in a way. So because to help them read.
Yeah,
So like everything has like a I don't want to say it's not complex. It's just the way all the letters are shaped. It's like round, dot on the inside. It's like if you run your hand over it, like you could kind of like feel the shape of it compared to whether it was like a letter where maybe there's like a lot more curves and there's like everywhere where the lines start and end are kind of more prominent in the Olm language. That's I'm not an expert on calligraphy though, so maybe someone else could. We should ask like an expert about this.
yeah. Wish we had one.
Uh, and what was that? What was that message that Lysol got? It was just like Steve's a jerk or
He's like,
something.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Steve's a
Steve,
jerk. That's what it said.
who's
Yep,
Steve? Like, do we ever find out who Steve is?
It's
is that a
it's
sweat
that
at the Owl House?
it's from Minecraft.
Oh yeah, of course, from
Wow.
Minecraft.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He keeps
Minecraft
tunneling
Steve.
into their iron ore
absolute
deposits.
Yeah.
What a
comedians.
jerk.
We have some comedians right now. We got some comedians right here. Uh,
Yeah, but like going back to what your point about like the alphabet stuff, I do admire how like the ohms are so biologically accurate too. Like being blind is part of their is part of their characters, and we saw it play out the entire episode, even in the conflict as well. That's so awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was gonna talk about it later once we get a Proteus, but yeah, like it's all that's all great. And yeah, they follow the path, and then they get to Proteus, and it's like really we get a really nice shot of the city, and like I like I, I know technically they wouldn't need lights, but you know that's just it's rule of cool. Like you gotta just go with it and admire all of like the chandeliers and all the blue lights on on the ceiling, and the city's like has like a purple glow. It's cool. And I'm there was some concept art I think yesterday or today where they like Matt posted some of the drawings, and they mentioned that they had bells and little like caution bumps to help like the ohms kind of like identify where they were. And those are really like neat touches. Yeah, so they get to the city, and they're immediately like they immediately are met with some guards, and like Lemur mentioned, that like how the way they identify each other is like by like scent, and these guards immediately know it's Lysol and Engwyn back, and we meet kind of like the captain of Proteus. Oh, and also Proteus is like the scientific. It's like a scientific word for Ulm, or it's I believe it's like the genus. I'm not sure how to describe these terms. But basically, like Ulm, like Proteus means Ulm.
Yeah, I really love seeing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff in the video because, like, I know they do like a lot of research when sort of building up the lore for the show, right? And just yeah, you can really see they went all out with Proteus, right? Like, because this might be, I mean, this might be like our last new location of the show to explore. So, I mean, damn, hell yeah, they're gonna go all out. Like, give us tiny details, like you mentioned, Thumb, like the little like markers to make sure they don't get, I guess, potentially harmed or something. Like, they really just went all out with this. So,
Just
just praise the crew.
just to know, are Olms officially a type of salamander, or are they a whole nother just thing of amphibian in their own?
I believe they're considered a salamander.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're considered a salamander. And Nick, I don't think this is the last like new location we'll get. I'm pretty sure like
I mean,
we'll
what else
get
do we
more
have
stuff.
now?
Like Root of Evil, we're going to see like a new town.
Uh,
But
More world building.
yeah,
you forget remember that episode. That
I
episode's probably gonna be so dumb. Like, I'm ready for that episode.
yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But
Oh
yeah,
my
so
god! I can't wait.
we talked about the guards, and the guards kind of bring up. They just call them. They like they describe what's happening like maybe all of Andrus's like actions. They describe them just as earthquakes, and they don't really they really have no idea what's going on above the surface. And they mention like sunlight's coming through, and it's sunlight's like sensitive to the ohms. Uh, yeah, earthquakes happening more often, and they don't trust outsiders. Like even Anne like brings up like why don't you just like ask someone for help, and they just they refuse to, and that's when we see like the captain kind of like Perusia
I think it's Parisia or something.
Parisia, yeah, she kind of
Parisia.
mentions
Yeah.
that's like the Ulm way, and they immediately kind of like blame. Like once again, we get that moment where Anne mentions the mother of Ulms, and Parisia like kind of like is taken aback for a second and immediately blames Lysol and and Egwin.
Mhm. A lot of peculiar stuff going on in this episode. Like everyone freaking out over. Like it's really weird how the Ohms have secluded themselves from the outside world to the point where they won't even like if the outside world is like literally attacking them, affecting them, they won't even take like proper measures to counteract that. Let's make a bunch of excuses for it, and then yeah, we have everyone just freaking out over the mention of Mother Ohm. Like, did some kind of like incident happen like thousands of years ago in the past or something that just shaped how the society handles itself now? Like a lot of things to think about. I mean, it's really interesting how they work. Cause like it feels like it does feel like the Alms were like a influential group back then, right? I know there's like,
Yeah,
I
and
mean, we've only gone like
Andrus brought them
yeah,
up.
yeah, yeah, because like, so it just makes you think, you know, like what happened here? Like why are they so like why are they like this now? Like
So secluded.
it's peculiar.
Yeah, and it's one of those things with it too, where it's like, yeah, honestly, Nick, you kind of, I was gonna make a similar point. you kind of said what I wanted to say right then and there. I think like what's the word? With that too, they're also like very ignorant as well the whole time. Not only like because they don't know what's happening, but they also are very much like trying to remove outside influence as much as possible. When Anne and Sasha talk about that there's a whole drill trying to kill you guys, they're very much like, nah. There's no drill. There's nothing happening. It's just an earthquake. Whatever. Even though it's happening consistently and there's clear evidence for it. You know, they can't see what's happening, but like they know because they're blind. So but yeah.
And yeah, and they immediately take them all to like some sort of jail. I'm not sure, like some sort of cell, because it kind of
I think
looks
they
like,
just take him to the gate.
yeah.
Right?
Was it just outside like the city
Yeah,
gate?
it's just the
I
front
think
gate.
yeah.
How they're able to get back to the drill, right? Because they're not like in a cell or anything. If they were, they'd have to like escape and whatever. They just told them to stay out and get the hell out of here. So
Right. So yeah, they get kicked out. We get that quick moment with Sasha and the twins. And then they feel the earthquake again. It gets kind of worse, and we get that moment where like Sasha just like kicks a rock and it breaks.
that was hilarious. Just like she didn't have to kick the rock either. It wasn't gonna hit her. He just did it just because. Like she just roundhouse the rock. It was hilarious. I love that.
Well,
She's
the
just
the
showing off.
calculations, the exact
Yeah.
calculations of the amount of strength she has in her kick soon.
Right. And yeah, so immediately they all go back out to the surface and got covered in some random smelly bugs, and basically all the planners and the planners are like they try to take out the drill. They take out all the robots surrounding it, and it reminds me of Samurai Jack, where like since they're robots, you could just be like absolutely like murder these guys, like Anne like
Do anything.
Anne twists like a robot's neck, and yeah, so
Yeah, that's the thing with like robot violence in general is that like they can just do whatever the hell they want. Stab them in the chest, break their skull, twist their neck, whatever. It's it's crazy. And like I guess one thing I do want to mention about that part, it's just like a really like well animated scene. Like Sprig like jumps on the robot's head, hits it, and like he's distracted and gets right just behind them, twists his neck. And then Sasha just comes in. That's really well animated. That whole part. This whole episode has like amazing shots.
I mean,
just in general.
yeah, this episode was
Yeah.
boarded by Inbal Bread, and she's like known.
Well, Brenda. Yeah.
She's
Of course.
yeah, she's known for her fight choreography.
It's always
Yeah.
in Bella whenever I like think of some like really good animation in this show. I mean, all the storyboard artists are like super talented, but I feel like I keep on noticing it's the shot is so great. I wonder who boarded it. Oh, it's in Bella again.
Brenda.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like how like the drill like the drill says like it's aimed for Proteus. So it implies that Andrews like knew where Proteus was the whole time and is like directly targeting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so the drill said that? Like, wow, okay.
Yeah, the drill said like 10
Oh,
seconds
so-
before like reaching Proteus.
Proteus.
But
Yeah.
that's just,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy because it's like, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
this is the Mother Ohms we're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly.
Right? Like,
I know.
You only sent drones after them. Like, that's it. Like it just makes you think. I mean, damn. I feel like this just tells us that the Andrews and the core are so much more powerful than we thought they are. Because it's like the fact that he just casually sent some drones after them, basically after the Mother Ohms to kill her. Like, that's. I mean, damn. I mean, I feel like how much did the Leviathans cripple them? I mean, Jesus.
I feel like
Right? Like the
This
fact
is-
that there's now they're just more like a casual threat to them. Like that, all he sent were a couple drones and just a drill.
Like
Man,
I'm not sure if this is going to
this is,
be the extent of like what Andrews is sending after Proteus, but without getting too much into speculation, like the Lysol mentions, like one of the twins mentions earlier, like, oh, maybe Andrews is after like the iron deposit that Proteus is over, and that's what everyone kind of assumes for the rest of the episode. But I feel like Andrews is more concerned about, yeah, the mother wombs. Like I don't think, because we've seen how
Yeah,
desperate he is to undo a prophecy,
I
and
think
yeah, like this is, I think he's after more than just material here.
Yeah.
I feel like this is backtracking just a little bit, but in that scene where they tunnel out to the surface and Hop Hop talks about the stink bugs, I feel like that's gonna come back somewhere because it's just a bit too random to be, a one and done thing. I feel, and the next episode seems like it will be taking place directly after this one, so I kind of want to see how that works.
yeah.
Yeah. I think like for me, like with Andrews like invading or trying to take out the mother of Alms, I feel like I thought he would have like if he wanted to just straight up invade, I feel like he would have sent a bigger force. You know what I mean? Like he kind of just drills in and then like it's not like a whole like army or whatever, or at least like a send like a few like elite robots or something, just to take that out. It's very like it's just drilling and that's kind of it. You got like some like regular mooks, like not really a big deal. So I mean I assume he wants to get to the city, and I'm gonna assume too he doesn't know how to find that route to it because only like the Alm siblings knew like specifically where to go. So it's like a secret route. So but he knew the location like kind of sorta. So like I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And like the planners try taking out the drill. Sprig suggests like 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't work, and yeah, Lysol and Egwin
That was
decide.
really funny.
Yeah, and it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
just love that fuck. I just love the fact Anne tries it. Like she's just like, all right, whatever. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then she actually does it.
I think one thing for me, I don't know if anyone else thought this. So like 3A, we saw Polly doing a lot more technical stuff, right? With Frobo and stuff. When I saw that terminal, I was like, oh, Polly's gonna
yeah, I thought that
do
too.
something with it. Yeah, I was like, that looked like the perfect opportunity. And they didn't do it. And I was like, what? Like, I don't it just looked like the perfect time for Polly's engineering technical mojo to start coming into play, right? And he didn't do anything with it. They didn't even mention it. It was so weird. I don't know. Weird.
No, I definitely see. I didn't even think about it before, but yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, I hope
Yeah, she did.
Polly's technical side comes out again.
Yeah, 'cause I
Please.
I feel like we just have to depend on Frobo because I know he's gonna get, according to Matt, like several transformations along the show. So hey, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the drill's about to go into Proteus, and Lysol and Egwin like they come out to try and stop it, and they're burning in the sunlight while this is happening, and they wrap themselves around the tip of the drill, and that kind of, and then that actually like overloads the machine and takes it out. But then like it's still, the floor beneath them still like collapses, and then everyone ends up back in Proteus again. And Parisia, I'm looking up her name again. Yeah,
Patricia.
Parisia is still kind of like doesn't believe them. Like she watches them all
Yeah,
fall from the ceiling with a giant drill, and she's like, "Yeah, this is fake." Like,
I guess she wouldn't have actually seen the drill. None of them would have
oh
because
right,
they can't
They're
see.
blind.
right,
Yeah.
right. I guess she like felt all this happen, and yeah, she still doesn't believe them, which which sucks, but Sasha kind of just yells at her.
That scene was great. That whole
Yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it. But that felt so cathartic. Just Sasha just telling her off. It felt like something I wanted to say. The
I mean, like,
whole time. It was
I won't
great.
even lie. Like, I won't even lie because, like, I always love seeing that side of Sasha because, like, I'll be honest, man. Like, I've always loved Sasha even when she was like a total bitch. Like, I enjoy both sides that we're getting now, and I do love seeing her like whole. Like, how do I even describe it? Like her whole. Yeah, like whatever, however you want to describe what she did there, that's just great. I love the fact that's still a part of her personality. I mean, she's still super aggressive, super aggro, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, she hasn't lost that edge of
Yeah.
her. You know,
And
it's great.
she's still like not afraid to like just unleash a can of whoop ass on this,
Yeah.
3,000-year-old could definitely kill her giant old.
Murder her in a single hit, but she doesn't give a shit.
And same thing she does like with Lizel and Egwin in the beginning, and just get some of her back. I feel like they're kind of gonna be. She's kind of gonna be like the excuse for why people aren't immediately killing them is because Sasha's not one to be messed with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like
Ooh.
that Sasha helps the Alm siblings get up because they can't move on their own kind of thing when she gets back to them. That was I don't know, it's a small detail, but I like that a lot. She's just very much willing to just help them out and have some empathy and somehow send them to Wartwood. I don't know how that would have worked. But yeah.
I guess Wartwood's underground now, isn't it?
Yeah, but how would you bring them?
They could travel at
No,
night.
Loggle can dig it. Don't worry, Loggle. We'll just dig it.
They could travel at
Ooh,
night
also,
if they really wanted to.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. Yeah.
we
They could
also
do what?
Travel
Travel
they
at
could
like
night.
at
travel at
night.
night.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, me too.
We also, I just want to quickly mention something about the planters. I mean, I know yeah, they didn't get to do much this episode, but I did I did like how they were used though. I mean, I know Pauline and Sprague, they basically led them there, right? Like they were basically the main contributors of the episode, so that was great. And yeah, we got a lot of fun moments out of them. Like it sucks that we haven't really had major planter screen time yet, but I do like how they utilize this episode, so I could agree for that.
Yeah, I like how Polly just was just annoying Sprig to draw them out in the first place.
Yeah,
It's not much, but that's fine. We'll get them soon.
yeah, we'll get. I miss them though. I'll admit, I miss them.
Yeah, so after Sasha tells Parisia off, they decide to leave, and eventually she comes back to the group, and she's kind of like Sasha yelled at her, and then Parisia's like, okay, maybe I should try this again. Maybe I should get a second opinion, and she agrees to let Lysol and Egwin back into Proteus and take them all to see Mother Olm. And
One thing
Yeah.
I was gonna mention that once again, Sasha showing her empathy there. She could have easily as soon as she was allowed and her and Anne were allowed into the city, just kind of went in, but she made sure that the Alm siblings got something, were able to actually get into the city because that was her whole rant in the first place that they almost died. I thought they did die, honestly. um Trying to protect the city. So I love that she still makes sure that they get their just desserts, So that was great.
Yeah.
and yeah, and the episode pretty much ends with them entering, I guess, Mother Olm's special room, and I know Pickle, you wanted to bring up what Parisia was wearing.
Yeah, I found on Parisia's necklace. There's it's kind of It's an orange and black eye where the outside is orange and the pupil is orange, and then what would normally be the white of the eye is black. But it's in the same shape and it has a very similar color scheme to what
The core.
what the core has. And I was wondering how that could be. If I'm not sure if it's like gonna be just like, oh, the mother of Holmes and the core are tied and they've been like some sort of feud and they're kind of like two halves of a whole, or if it's gonna be like Parisia is evil in some way, or it's foreshadowing that the mother of Holmes might not be a good thing. Because I feel like it could really support either argument, despite them seeming to be like opposites.
I
And go ahead.
Oh yeah, I do think the Mother of Olms is going to be a little bit more like it's not they're not going to be as antagonistic as the core, but I do think they'll be leaning more towards like the good or maybe like neutral
Yeah.
side. I don't think they'll be entirely like directly antagonistic, but yeah, Parisia, like it's interesting how like out of all the Olms we see, like Parisia is the one with the she's the only one we see who's orange kind of, and that's and even all of her decorations are kind of like have the same color scheme as the core, which is yeah, I'm suspicious of
There's
this one.
also uh the the backgrounds and the like design of Proteus involves a lot of blue gems, which also ties into some of the stuff that Anne has going on with her own blue gems. And I mean, it seems pretty likely that the Mother of Holmes is related to the music box, considering, the music box is what led Anne and the gang to the Mother of Holmes. And it also reminds me of the gems in the eye of the and on the kind of mural monster. And I feel like it's a lot of stuff that I feel like we're still missing a lot, but it could end up all being linked together once things become more clear.
Yeah, definitely. Like I think Proteus itself kind of shares like there's a little bit of blue, there's a little bit of green, there's a little bit of there's a lot of uh purple, I guess, or magenta or pink, whatever. And yeah, that we're pretty much on speculation at this point.
Yeah,
I guess is there anything else that we missed from the episode itself? I know there's like the mural at the end of this episode. I guess do we want to talk about that now?
sure.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
totally. I mean, I feel like for me, I don't. You guys can go. Actually, start the conversation. I don't think I have like a ton of time.
Okay. So like the episode ends like when everyone enters that room and it closes behind them. Like it's super dark, but there's an image there, and people kind of like brightened up the image, and you can see like it's pretty much Anne, Sasha, and Marcy like a carving, not carving, like a yeah mural of them with fancy armor, and Anne's in the middle with her hair glow, like her hair is like up like it was in True Colors, and it, there's a lot. It's it's odd how because usually when we have this kind of imagery, it's there for a moment and at least it's noticeable. But like here, like people had to like turn up the brightness and it was so quick. I have a feeling that maybe this image will come into play like next episode on the way out. Like maybe after everything that goes on with the Mother of Olms, as they all leave the room, they'll be confronted with this image again, or they'll be confronted with this image that we all like found at the end of today. But
I do think it's interesting that they're all wearing like crown type things in the mural. And also, I found that it seems like Marcy and Sasha's hair are also both kind of floating upwards, the same way Anne's does when she has her powers. So I wonder if that could be showing that they will have some sort of powers and I really hope they do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, and with that too is like, oh, I
no,
was gonna
go
say
ahead.
like,
In fact,
oh, I was gonna say like they also have like Anne has like this really cool armor too, like as well. And I think I forget who had there was some concept art of like Anne having. They said it was an idea that they never used, but like um
the
of like
gauntlets
Anne
from
having like
the gauntlets
yeah
on her wrists from by Silver Paul.
yeah, and that was
Yeah,
really neat. And it kind of looks like something similar though. This one looks more like I don't know how to describe it, like royal. I guess is the best way to describe it, but yeah, I don't know if that'll be coming into play. I know the powers definitely will from the hair. It's all flowing upward, so they better do
yeah,
something. Like
Yeah, it kind of just like reinforces the thing back in like in the intro, and even like sleepover to end all sleepovers with the prophecy, and yeah, it's like all this stuff is gonna it's gonna like we're gonna get some answers next week.
Oh yeah.
Finally! Oh my gosh!
yes,
So we've been waiting on this kind of stuff for years. I mean, like, you notice the mural in
Almost.
the background of the intro, and that's gonna be almost 3 years for you then. If you saw the
Yeah.
teasing with the book and the day of the aquarium, that's been over a year and a half. Like years of waiting, finally coming to an end. Like I'm finally getting some of the answers I've been craving for such a long time. I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Like, oh, someone I think it was Pickle.
Hmm?
Oh, I thought someone was gonna say something.
Oh, I was just saying, yeah.
Okay, yeah, and we got yeah, I think we covered everything, I believe.
well, I was actually gonna mention like wait, do we know exactly like we know it's Sasha and Marcy next to Anne, but like do we know exactly like I assume the Marcy's on the left and Sasha's on the right. I
No,
wasn't exactly sure.
Marcy's on the right, and then Sasha's on the left because the left one has the ponytail.
I was thinking Marcy was on the left because of the horns. Like they look like because you know like the Darcy has like the axolotl horns or whatever. I was kind of thinking it represented that in some way. And usually horns are like demonic or evil. So like Marcy's, she's possessed right now. So I assume that that would mean something for that.
Yeah, but
So
like the left one. Uh, oh yeah, sorry about the wind. I just moved that.
Oh,
oh,
Yeah, there you
okay.
go. Is there? Is there? All right.
Yeah, I'm looking at
oh,
the picture. It looks like yeah, the ponytail makes me lean towards Sasha more
Sasha.
on the left.
Yeah. And
okay.
also,
The
the
right
one on the
one
right
has
kind of
like
has the.
the right one has short hair. Like the shortest one out of all the three, so that's definitely Marcy.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's also the kind of the jagged that looks kind of like her like fluffy cape thing too. So
Yeah, yeah, and I'm also noticing that all of the three people in this mural have crowns in them.
And that's very interesting. I mean, I just wonder what it all means. I mean, I think they're not royalty. I mean, but
I have
it's
a
very
feeling
cute.
that they may get like some new armor. I assume maybe
That
Yeah,
would
because
be
the
sick.
one because the center one is that looks like Anne has her breastplate, but like expanded. Like she has the shoulder pads. Is that what you call them? I do not know.
yeah, shoulder
uh,
or
someone find an
pauldrons.
image of the armor she wore in when she was trying out the full set of armor in Bessie Michelangelo.
Yeah, they kind of had like more of like a spike at the end.
It's like when it comes to Anne's redesign, on one hand it would look really really cool, but on the other hand they did that whole thing where like she's okay with who she is, and that's why she's not wearing a whole new set of armor.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's yeah. You also have to keep that idea in your head. You know, when you, I mean, yeah, we all do wish Anne could get like a cool new outfit, but I guess it just makes sense for why she's not really planning for it. But I mean, I do have my
Yeah.
suspicions that she will get an upgrade towards this battle though, because there's no way she's going to be running into a war with like just a chest plate, right? Like, hell no, hell no.
It looks
Yeah,
like she's still
definitely.
wearing. It looks like she's still wearing her like signature skirt though.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like I don't think it's gonna be like a full upgrade, but like a little bit just to like portray like the full calamity forms, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I think about these murals. Like it's the girls with their full mural forms.
Right. Yeah. And like in past weeks, we usually got like a synopsis every week coming out that we would like discuss as speculation. But we got all of the April synopsis already, and I'm looking at Anne's armor from Bessie Michelangelo. Yeah, I really like that armor, other than the helmet. Yeah, like I would love to see like parts of it come back into like make a return. Like they had the armor set lying around.
I
that'd be
think maybe
cool.
making it more like maybe the shoulder pads aren't as as big because those look a little awkward.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
think those
no,
gauntlets
won't.
could definitely come back and look really cool.
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be cool to see Anne get a final form. But yeah, I think we covered. I guess we can. I think was everyone here for the episode title speculation at some point? I know.
Yeah, I
Yeah, Impact,
oh,
Lemur, Pickle. Were you there? I
I don't.
guess.
I don't think I've been a. I don't think I've had a. But I feel like I've kind of most of the stuff that I've been thinking has been said already.
Okay.
So I'm fine if we don't like return to it.
Okay. Then I think this is a good time to wrap up then. And I guess final thoughts on this episode. Starting with starting with Nick. What are your final thoughts on this batch of episodes?
another really good pair of 3V, and hell, just makes me more excited for what we have next week. It just keeps getting better and better, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Thank you, Nick. And Pickle. Final thoughts on these episodes.
yeah. Matt said that Dreamy was going to be some of the best stuff yet, and so far I feel like it's really been living up to that. It's like suddenly like things are ramping up, and you can really feel plot, and it's definitely also like it's really these two episodes staged well for the obvious next episode is going to be big, and I think they just did a really good job with these.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Pickle. Impact. Final thoughts on these episodes.
these episodes were fantastic. They were just really good. Dreeby has really just been punching us with new episode after new episode after new episode. Well, not new episode. Great episode. Obviously, they're new. But it's been really good. I've really enjoyed all these episodes. I love the Sasha and Anne moments. Those have been like my favorites so far. And just having like her part of the main cast. And Almtown Road was just I really like these episodes, and I'm so excited for when we get to Mother of Alms, and even Grime's pupil is. I'm really excited for that episode too because we haven't gotten a lot of Grime. Uh, we've had him in the background, but not too much. But yeah, these episodes were fantastic. I love them.
Thank you, Impact. Lemur. Final thoughts on these episodes.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo the sentiments that everybody has said, and I will say that 3B has been on fire so far. Two back-to-back weeks of like excellent episodes, and Sasha's Angels, and the Mother of Wolves are Hometown Road are great episodes. Sasha's Angels serves as like a great final hurrah for like the Wartwoodians, and Hometown Road is just a great setup, a great episode that is also a setup for next week's revelations. I suppose. Yeah, like great episodes this week. I cannot wait for next week's as well because it's gonna be a big one.
Thank you, Lemur. And yeah, it's gonna be a big episode. And I just want to bring up like every week the like season 1 makes like some sort of return. Like we had like we had Barry. We're gonna have Apothegary. We're getting Tritonio back. It's like every week the show wants to remind us. Oh, we got like Stumpy's bone spatula back. It's like every week we're getting something new, and it's not something new, something familiar, and it's great. And yeah, that pretty much concludes this week's recording. And next week we're going to cover Mother of Olms and Grimes' Pupil, and that's, yeah, like you guys mentioned, that's going to be the answer episode. And it's kind of interesting how they had Hometown Road kind of like be all the setup, and it's already a great episode. Like, I'm looking forward to next week. But with that pretty much concludes this week's recording. Thanks for listening. Say goodbye, everyone.
See y'all.
Peace,
See
everybody.
you guys.
See ya.
Goodbye.